All right, so we have a total of 4 proposed changes to the bylaws. Does anybody have questions about the format of the bylaw changes that have been passed out to everybody and everybody has had an opportunity to look at? Yes, sir. Yes, go ahead.
Isn't number 3 what the committee is going to be discussing? Or am I missing something?
Mazzulli, the question that's been presented is number 3, expanding the ABC membership. It says section 2.1A, associate member, and it has then it's actually the first paragraph on the next page. That's the additional language to it. All right. Do you want me to? Should I go through them individually?
Yes,
then?
Please.
Okay. All right. Then we're going to go through them individually at this point in time. So the first bylaw change, the language for clarifying what a member in good standing is, and here's what the proposed additional language is regarding dues. Dues must be paid no later than 90 days after the start of a calendar year, or said member or associate member shall be placed on notice for an additional 90 days. At the end of 180 days, any and all professional events held by said commission shall be deemed non-sanctioned in the official record-keeping sources until the member is current on dues. That is the proposal. Is there a... You have a question? Yeah, way to put me on the spot there. Well, no, I mean my legal opinion is the question is about the enforceability. We could put any mark we want to next to it on the official record. Whether that's the right thing to do or not, I'm not commenting on that. We're not saying that the bout couldn't happen. We're not saying the bout couldn't be reported. But you know, just looking at it from a purely legal standpoint and the enforceability of it, we can put any denotation by it we wanted to.
Well, your bylaws, this is a legal opinion, don't give you authority to sanction bouts to begin with. If your bylaws
here's what I'm going to propose at this point. It looks to me like we got some work being done on that and some possible language issues and possible changes for amendment purposes. My suggestion is before we go into this any deeper, that we give them a chance to work on it and maybe just move on to the next one at this point in time. Yeah, before Matt, go ahead, Matt.
I've got one more suggestion. If we are going to label paid members inactive, can we get some verbiage in that as well? I mean, I'd just like to see that clarified. What constitutes active versus inactive?
An active member versus an inactive member for, okay. And, all right. I think that seems like a good idea. And please, I'm getting asked questions here on it. I don't want anything that I say. I'm just running this part of the meeting. I don't want anything I say to be considered endorsing or opposing any of the provisions here. Let's go ahead, though, and move on to number 2 regarding improving financial accountability. And then we'll go back to 1 once we've had a chance to look at it a little more detail and.
I just got a motion and that passed unanimously yesterday. On the financial guidelines, it's just that they will be appended to the bylaws.
Okay, thank you.
But everybody approved it.
So what Lydia's down here telling me, and I'm just going to go ahead and do just like I did for the first one, the second proposed bylaw change is improving financial accountability. And Lydia was just pointing out to me the basic purpose of this was to, we had a motion on the floor yesterday or the other day that approved the Finance Committee. The purpose of this is to kind of put into our bylaws and our provisions that we are governed by what we talked about when that was approved. So the specific language which would be added to Section 4.9 duties of the treasurer would be, the treasurer shall have a supervisory body of no fewer than 7 members that shall serve as an oversight committee. The treasurer can invite no more than 3 members to the Finance Committee, with the remainder of the Board of Directors appointing at least the other 4. The financial guidelines as attached as Exhibit A shall be utilized. And that was what everybody got yesterday. I will consider any motion to approve number 2. Tricia it has been moved. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Roberson. Is there any discussion? Is there anybody who would seek a roll call vote on this provision? Any member can ask for it for any reason. It appears to me that there is no discussion and there is no member that is asking for a roll call vote, so I will go to a voice vote for this. All in favor of number 2, approving financial accountability and adding the language as amended, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay.
Nay. I don't think she needs to go over the side. If we can't elect the treasurer and do the math, I don't know what that's why you got elections. Just not 2 cents.
The ayes have it. There is a noted nay. The ayes have it, and it has carried. Number 3 has been withdrawn with the approval of the committee that has been set up. So we will move to number 4 at this time, which is expanding authority. I will just read the additional language to the missions, Section 1.3. Section 1.3 under name. The name of this association is the International Association of Boxing Commission and Combat Sports. The name change is meant to encompass Section 1.3 missions A and does not alter the authority nor responsibilities set forth in the Professional Boxing Safety Act. That is the proposed change to the name. Is there a motion? Got a question? And I'll have people to answer the question. But yes, what is the question?
Thank you. You guys know that I'm fairly new. I don't say a whole lot. But this international, I thought we just had somebody say that we were going to form a committee to look at international applicants, and they wanted to wait 5 years, and we want to wait 5 years, and now we want to call this have a new name that says international. We're not really international if we.
And I can let President Mazzulli address that. Here's what I will just say, and again, I don't want. I'm just trying to answer a question and give information. I'm not trying to sway anything on this. But what I will say is we already have members from other countries and states. They're already associate members. They're already involved, and they're already participating at some level. This does not change authority. It does not change anything else. It just simply acknowledges the fact that we actually already are an international organization. I think that's the intent. Do you have anything,
No,
President Mazzulli?
absolutely. This Joe Walsh did the research on it, and it does not adversely affect the Muhammad Ali Act at all. International, we use international because of the individuals that are associate members. Now, if we want to remove the international and have Association of Boxing Commissioners and combative sports, listen, it's long overdue. We all know that. All right? So that was our intent as the board of directors and the regional directors, because the regional directors were on board with this as well. So we went out to the body, we went out to the regional directors. These are proposed bylaw changes, guys. These aren't, we're not saying we're shoving these down your throat. This is proposed. If you have concerns or comments, please tell us. That's a good example. Do we wait until next year and address the international if we come across adding the internationals to the body as full members? So please don't sit down and not say anything. If you have concerns and comments, stand up. That's what we're here for. We're not here to rush to get out of this place, even though I'm ready to go for a walk. But let's do it. Let's do this the right way. And these bylaw changes are very, very important. These are very important.
As you know, I'm your treasurer. I'm not a member of the ABC. I'm only an inspector for the lowly state of Arkansas. I just want to address the international and the combative sports. I don't know who in here does not regulate combative sports, but in talking with the IRS, the goal would be to have the Association of Boxing Commissions and combative sports regulators, because there are states that only regulate combative sports. It seems like by putting the word in boxing, we almost pretend that this body is not gravely concerned. Come on, what have you been talking about for 3 days? Not gravely concerned about the other combative sports. That's the intent, only because I typed it up. Thank you.
All right, so I think what we'll do is move into a discussion phase after we see if we have a motion for it, and we'll give everybody a chance. But I think what President Mazzulli and Treasurer Robertson are saying here is nobody's going to have their ego hurt or feel really bad if there's discussion about it and disagreement about what the name ought to be moving forward. So let's have a good discussion about it, and let's just have an open, honest discussion about it and see where we're at on this, okay? So that's the motion. Do I have that's the proposal. Do I have a motion to adopt number 4, expanding authority and the name change? Is there such a motion?
The name change being what? International?
Yes. The name change as is, and before we can discuss it any further, there has to be a motion and a second. Is there a motion? So moved by? Is there a second? Second by New Hampshire. Is there discussion? Let me repeat it. I'm going to repeat it as exactly as it's written, because what's on the floor now with New Hampshire's second is The name of this association is the International Association of Boxing Commissions and Combat Sports. The name change is meant to encompass Section 1.3 Missions A and does not alter the authority nor responsibilities set forth in the Professional Boxer Safety Act. The name I just said is the name of the what's on the floor. That's fine. They said a different name. The one that's on the floor is the one that's in the paper.
Association of Boxing Commissions and Combative Sports. We do it. It's time. Even old little pissant like me, we got to change it. But I like keeping ABC in there. I'm comfortable with that language.
Is there anybody else? I think we'd like to hear from more people here on the topic. Yes.
Yes.
You just did. In just a moment, I got to have a second first before we can go on. Yes. I'm sorry, I got bad eyes, so if I'm looking, it's not. All right, we have a second to, as I understand, the motion to amend was simply to strike the word international. So now the language would read, and I'm just going to read the first sentence of Section 1.1. The name of this association is the Association of Boxing Commissions and Combat Sports.
For just a second.
And no, there was somebody else that I had to acknowledge over here first, or maybe not. I think maybe.
When I first heard of the ABC many years ago, I assumed you were international because it didn't say the American Association of Boxing Commissions. It just said the Association of Boxing Commissions.
The next comment was over here.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to clarify a legal point. Legal point of order. As a lawyer who oversees 42 boards for the state that I work in, South Carolina, my name's Dean Grigg, by the way, you have to have the first motion withdrawn before you can entertain any other motions. I'm not opposed to the second motion. I just want to make sure we've done it the right way.
Wait, hold on a second.
You have to have you've already taken a second, and you're already at the discussion phase. To take an amendment, you have to have it withdrawn. That's all I'm asking. I'm just asking that it's done the right way.
Now I don't know what rules they use. I don't know what rules they use in South Carolina, but there can be an amendment to a motion that's presently pending on the floor without a withdrawal here. So that's what we've got right now. There can be a motion to amend it, and there is. Further discussion. What I'm going to do for further discussion to the amendment is I'm going to ask people to line up over here behind Tricia if you want an opportunity to talk, because I can't tell who's raising their hands first. So let's have a race to get behind Tricia there. Next comment, Mr. Langlis.
Just take a minute, folks, and look around. We are an international organization, and I'm probably the most patriotic, dedicated American I can possibly be. But if you look at the training we got this weekend, Jaron's Canadian, Cristiano from Brazil. We have an international organization. I don't understand the hang-up with calling it the International Association of Boxing Commissions. That's it.
Thank you for the comment. Next, and please, when you start to make your comments, if you just identify yourself and then make your comments.
Todd Neal, Kentucky. My only comment is about the wording. Okay, it says, and listen to this, Association of Boxing Commissions and Combat Sports. It makes no sense. It should be Association of Boxing and Combat Sports Commissions. I know it's all English, but I mean, I'm not an English scholar, but it makes sense to add and combat sports commissions. There's an IRS issue. Well, that opens a different can of worms with everything, folks. So
Todd's point is well taken. It makes more sense. However, the Muhammad Ali Act states the Association of Boxing Commissions shall, will, does. So we have to keep those three words together. What you amend in front or behind is okay, but we cannot break up the wording Association of Boxing Commissions. That's a fact.
All right.
Okay, if that's the fact, then will the Muhammad Ali Act be amended to say Association of Boxing Commissions and Combat Sports? Because you're talking to a different entity.
No, I just...
Legally. Pat, English, what do you think?
Next comment.
I was just going to add, if you keep that as it is without the international, you still can keep your acronym ABC because it's combat sports. So, and because you don't want to really confuse the public about who you are. And association could mean international. It doesn't exclude international.
And I think one of the I will just say this, and again, I don't want my comments to be interpreted as taking a position on it, but I will just say this. One of the things that we considered when the board was discussing this all along was keeping the branding of ABC and Association of Boxing Commissions together. And whether it's proper English or not, that was what was going on in the board's mind. But I'll just also remind everybody that at this point, the discussion is about the amendment. The amendment proposed is dropping the word international. And so if you have a comment or about something else other than the word international and dropping that in the current amendment, please wait until we get back to the original motion, which we'll deal with as soon as we have dealt with this amendment. Do you have is there another comment about the amendment on the floor at this time?
Katie Crossway from the United Nations. I was debating on this. I was thinking of amending the amendment of the amendments of some sort. Instead of combat sports, combative sports. I know that may sound so petty, but being a member of the military, to have combat, I know that's what we do, but I think I know it's a fine line. I know it might be silly, but that's how I look at that.
Thank you. Is there another comment on?
No, this is Lee from Texas, and I concur. That's the only thing I was going to say. Combative. Is that a motion?
We cannot entertain a motion on that amendment at this time.
I'm just saying combative because Texas calls it combative sports.
Okay, and once we've dealt with this one, then we'll entertain a motion for combative instead of combat. Is there any further discussion with regard to the amendment on the floor, striking the word international? That is correct. The question was, and let me make sure I got the question correct before I answer it. The question was, there can be further amendments. And can there be further amendments? And the answer is yes. Once this one is dealt with, we can move to further amendments. Any further discussion about the word international? Does Andy Foster have a comment?
I've not been paying attention because I've been doing something else. But yeah, I've got to agree with, like, I just like ABC and put it in the mission statement. We do combat sports. I don't know. I mean, it's ABC in the federal law. I mean, I think the federal law, I think that's what gives this organization some bit of authority. I don't know. You can put it in the combat. I mean, like in the name, but in the combat sports.
We will stay Association of Boxing Commissioners. We all do other things other than boxing, correct? So I don't foresee it being an issue if it says, and we've already researched this, it's not the issue with the IRS and our tax ID is up and running, Association of Boxing Commissioners and Combative Sports. The logo is just like the logo out front, but it's going to say and Combative Sports. I mean, if we don't want to do it, we don't have to.
This is a great discussion, gentlemen. But let's first deal with the word international, and we're going to take it to a vote at this time.
Yeah, international's out.
He's opposed to international, so yes. Move to call the question. We're calling the question at this point. So yes, we're going to. Would anybody like to have a roll call vote on this word international? I see a hand raised, so we're going to go to a roll call vote, and I'm going to start going through it this time for roll call. Okay. The issue is an amendment to the motion that would simply strike the word international. So this piece of paper that has been passed around, the issue is whether we're going to strike through the word international and take international out of the current motion that's pending. Does everybody understand? So if you say aye, you will be voting to take the word international out. If you vote nay, you will be voting to leave the word international in. There was a request for a roll call vote, and we're going to honor the request for the... Oh! The request has been withdrawn. We will go to a voice vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. The ayes have it. The word international has been stricken. Now we move back to the motion on the floor, which is the name of this association is the Association of Boxing Commissions and Combat Sports. I would like to hear from, is there discussion? Further discussion on this topic?
A motion to, this is Lee from Texas, a motion to change combat to combative.
The motion on the floor by Lee from Texas is to change the word combat and the phrase combat sports to combative sports. Is there a second? I'll take the second from Mazzulli, although it is noted that numerous people have tried to do that. Is there any discussion on changing the word from combat to combative? Any discussion at all? There is no discussion. We're going to go to a voice vote. All in favor of this amendment to change the word combat to combative, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, it's now combative. We still have to vote on the question. All right. I'm going to read it one more time, and then everybody's got one last chance for discussion, but I'm going to keep this moving as it looks like whatever it is. The name of this association is the Association of Boxing Commissions and Combative Sports. Is there any further discussion on this topic? Yes, sir.
Are we going to keep the acronym ABC? Yes. Good to go.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion on the original motion? Seeing none, is there anybody who wishes to go to a roll call vote? Seeing none, is there, if you vote aye, you are voting in favor of this change to the bylaws. If you vote nay, you are voting against it. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? No. The ayes have it. President Mazzulli, are we prepared to deal with number 1. The dues issue.
I would like to table number 1 until next conference.
Number 1 is tabled, doesn't require a second. It's withdrawn by the president.
And that wasn't withdrawn. It was a proposal. Doesn't mean we're going to do it, just so you guys know. This is for discussion. These bylaw changes it's all of us. It's not just the board of directors and the regional directors, and I appreciate it. We did a lot in the last 20 minutes. We changed the name, so now every MMA fighter, every Muay Thai, Sundo, American kickboxing, and all that other stuff knows that we're going to help them regulate the sport to the best of our ability. So just remember that. This is very big. I want to thank you guys. When it comes to... Wait, Counselor, yes.
I apologize. It was pointed out by a member, and this was important, and I think I'm glad it was pointed out before we got everybody out of here. There's one issue. In Article 8 of our Constitution, it does say if there is an amendment to the Constitution, that change has to be given 12 hours. The fact that there were amendments to what was provided 12 hours in advance means that we have to, as a body, waive that. And now what I'm going to propose, and would need unanimous consent on, I believe, on a voice vote, would be that we waive it retroactively. And so if there is a problem or an issue with this, then we would have to address it and stay here longer to do that. But I don't want that to deter anybody. So at this point, I would entertain a motion to waive Article 8 to allow this amendment to take place legally. There's such a motion from Alabama. Is there a second? Second by, was that Arkansas? Any discussion? The motion is to waive the 12-hour requirement under Article 8. Do you believe that satisfies? It believes is satisfied by the member who brought it to my attention. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion to waive the 12-hour requirement say aye. Aye. All opposed. The motion carries.